Hi, my name is Eileen McPherson. This is the start of the Sky Goddess, the wire frame, the wrapping, and as I go on, she ends up being approximately 24 inches. This took a while and hurt the fingers quite often, wrapping the wires. So this has been a long time since I've started one of these projects and finished it. It'll be down at Gather Make Shelter in the Pearl District here in Portland, Oregon. As you can see, this took a while. It's one of the longest projects I've had. I don't think I've been this intense before. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. The soldering wasn't that fun, but everything else was.
Toe to head, head to toe.
So each piece is set out to
Working on the frame.
be put together here.
For the body.
Not much going on. This
About
is
to
my
put it
first
together.
actual video doing this, so
So
bear with me.
got a lot of work to do.
It took quite a
I'll
bit.
unbox that
I was
later.
lucky to have a place to hang her so I could see what I was doing. This is quite helpful for future processes. As the body came together, I did find times when I was very stressed out with this because it just wasn't quite coming together right, so I'd have to take breaks between doing the body and doing the frame. But as you can see, the body starts coming together quite nicely. And her pose comes together as we stitch her together, which is something new that I tried this time as well. Usually I like my dolls to be flexible, movable, posable. This one was not so much. She had a more permanent pose. Her body was that of an old wool coat that was just beautiful. And her dress was from a sari that had been given to me, and just gorgeous. I wanted it to be showcased somewhere other than on a human.
Stopping for the
And what better place for than the Sky Goddess?
The waist is done.
Maybe she will hang. Here I'm hand stitching her back together and her shoulders, getting that nice form. And yes, I tend to look quite serious when I'm stitching, sometimes even angry. So I don't photo myself very often. More or less the work.
Not sure because it was also a plane.
That's what I was thinking. It could have been the engine firing out. It's a full.
And I had left the hook in her head until I was ready to put her hair on. That way I could keep hanging her up. For being able to, for sizing and stitching. And now, her boobs. and then onto her throne. Boobs! Accessories. Not bad. Mostly even.
Likey.
Her throne took quite a bit of time. 3 different dream catchers turned into the base, along with tulle and lighting, fluorescent glow-in-the-dark paint to try and make the dream catchers glow, and the butterflies. A furry base, a pillow added, lots of hand stitching and wiring to put it all together. I am quite proud and quite tired. This was a long project. It was, especially since it was not a first thought out and designed project. It was a project that just came together as I was going. So everything you see was spur of the moment. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do this. Which became more fun when you lose track of, oh my, what was I going to do? Here, you can see the eyes. I got this idea out of a book on one-of-a-kind handcrafted cloth dolls, using beads or something else for the eyes and making eyelids. You stitched the beads on first, and then stitched down the eyelids around the beads to make an actual beautiful eye. I decided to try this for the first time. I will also paint the eyes on some of my dolls. I was quite happy with this for a first try. Actually, this would be the second try. It was much better on this one. The paint isn't bad, it's brand new. It just doesn't glow that well. I either needed more coats or a mixture of paints. Either way, it's still beautiful when it wants to work.
Checking on the glow-in-the-dark. Now to turn off lights.
Here we try a test
moment.
of the paint that does not work. You can slightly see it glowing when we turn the lights out.
Don't
and
have
then
much light,
when all the
so-
lights go out,
All right.
nothing.
Give me 1 second.
Very little.
And
Microscopic pips. Nothing notable.
Last light.
Nothing the camera picks up anyway.
Oh, that's why. Nope. You're not going to be able to see it
Well,
the way
we'll
we
do
can.
a second test again.
Oh, well.
The first one
Darn.
barred.
At least my camera's not bringing it up. Damn it.
More supplies. And pictures of her base and her throne. My light levels were fun working with since I don't have standard electric lighting. Being I'm homeless, most of my lights are battery powered. So if my batteries are dying,
Okay.
my lights die.
Glow-in-the-dark test.
My work dies.
Take 2.
Again,
Hey.
no
you
glow
can see
from the glow-in-the-dark
microdots.
paint. We tried.
No, it's not going to show up good on the
On to the
phone.
crafting of clothing! 5 minutes to stitch just those little undies. And you get to see it! 5 minutes to stitch those little undies. And undies done. On to her choli top, and then her skirt and drape, which was turned into one. I think her hair was the most fun. Each strand ends up taking almost 5 minutes just to unwind one at a time. But she's quite pretty in her clothes. As I said, this is just so beautiful. I couldn't see keeping it hidden away. This wonderful sky goddess had to have a beautiful, beautiful top. So happy with her. And her choli belt, out of an old choli belt, spart parts. And here for her hair, it was part of a top. She's slowly coming together. Now, this was the fun part, getting her head ready, removing the hook, stitching up the top, and then cutting out the hair strands. It looks like I had about 16 strands that I had to undo, roughly. As you can see, pin them on her head to make a wig, then we stitch them down, and then undo the backs to make that nice puffy, almost Egyptian style look. Between cornrows and the Egyptian wigs was my goal. I kind of met it. Always make sure you're taking care of your needle when not in use. Stuffing it in her head was quite helpful. Ta-da! Almost done! Ready to start the unbraid. It's pretty, but not that pretty yet. See how they slowly come apart?
Type of powder. The burn rates of the individual grains may still vary. Some will burn fast, some will burn slow, but you have hundreds of them, which kind of averages them out to a predictable velocity, pressure, and all that stuff. A traditional gun also uses rifling to spin the bullet to stabilize it. The twist rate of the rifling never changes, of course, but the spin rate of the bullet can vary depending on how fast the bullet's traveling down the barrel. Control the velocity and you automatically control the spin rate, and that can be simply done by using good quality ammunition that gives you consistent velocities shot after shot. Once the bullet leaves the barrel of a traditional gun, it's pretty much just coasting and decelerating, but there's still a lot of complicated physics involved just in that. Now let's take a look at the gyrojet round. It looks simple enough, doesn't it? The gyrojet round has a steel case, often plated in copper to prevent rust. They used a pistol primer, which was the only part they didn't have to make, and that was set into a steel plug, which contains the rocket nozzles. The drilling of the rocket ports was very tedious and required the utmost of precision. An employee would take one of the plugs, put it in an indexing turret, pretty much on a drill press, drill the tiny holes with a custom-made taper drill bit. Then he would index the turret 90 degrees, drill the next hole, and so on. Since they're drilling at an angle, the drill bits would snap all the time. The later production gyrojets only have 2 holes because this process was just so tedious. The majority of the space
Be better to set it up to drill all 4 at once.
by the nitrocellulose pellet grain. These grains were extruded in one long stick and then trimmed to the approximate size, resized to get the proper outside diameter, and then put on a lathe to kind of form the correct shape to fit inside the case. The propellant grain was hollow, and inside that they had what they called an igniter. Sometimes they use gun cotton, other times they use treated paper similar to flash paper. The primer alone would not ignite the propellant grain evenly. purpose of the igniter is to get the entire length, the entire inner surface of the propellant grain burning evenly. As the grain burns from the inside out, the surface area increases progressively, as well as the thrust, until the fuel is completely consumed. Alright, let's head out, take one more shot, and we'll see if we'll learn anything else about these fascinating rocket guns. This is a pretty textbook shot. I think everything went as well as possible. Many people have the idea that these things have a long delay, but when you're shooting it, you don't really notice any delay. It's like shooting an airsoft gun. Another idea people have is a gyrojet is non-lethal at close range. But what is close range? You see the rocket accelerate to maximum velocity in just a few yards in this shot. Yes, it does remind me of the Enterprise going at warp speed.
See why he says that, because he uses their slow-mo camera. You can see the airflow around the bullet and the changes in the rocket.
But if you want to try the theory, be my guest.
It looks like it has no flame when it leaves the barrel. Then it looks like it's firing up in a circle, and then it forms a single flame.
Round that we shot actually fired, so they are pretty reliable.
See?
But we can't confirm
If
that
they show
they
again.
are pretty inaccurate and unpredictable. Luckily, we had the forethought to put that ballistic paneling behind the dummy. This actually gives us a lot of good information about how much energy the gyrojet had on impact. The gyrojet embedded itself very deeply and made a larger bulge in the back of the panel than a 9mm. The gyrojet is supposed to have the same energy as a 357 Magnum, but a 357 Magnum will go through that fiberglass panel. The gyrojet was very mushroomed, and if it was made out of a stronger material, a thicker steel, I think it would have passed through the fiberglass panel. Even though our ammunition was over 50 years old, our results were congruent with independent and military testing at the time when these guns and ammunition were still very new. Today, the few gyrojets that were actually made and sold
And
are in
voila!
or private collections.
One down, multiple to go, and the finished product. Now to add her accoutrements of beauty. And to finish her face. And then on to her shoes. Love the poofy. And in stages. One side, left side first, and then on to her right side. She makes me so happy. And yes, I will be glad to sell her, because once I create something, it's time to let it go. I don't necessarily want to hold on to everything I create, as much as I find the great beauty in it. I create to let it out into the world, because it's no longer mine. It's merely a part of me, ready to let go. I hope you enjoyed this journey. I had so much fun making this, and as you can see, this is her first sunrise outside of the house to see the beautiful sky goddess. Goodbye, friends. I hope you enjoyed.